Ken, I've always been interested in gulag denial, in jihad denial when it comes to the left, and I just studied it my whole life. And it's very interesting. The moment you start talking about the evil of our adversaries, the leftist right away wants to say, no, no, it's not that bad, and we are just as bad, if not worse, And so that's why you have Noam Chomsky trying to deny the refugee what the refugees were saying coming out of Pol Pot's Cambodia. The left is always trying to deny. So right now, if anybody starts talking about what happened to Mahsa Amini and what's happening to Iranian dissidents and to Iranian women, the moment you talk like that around a leftist, you already know what's going to happen. And so on The View, very typically, oh, Whoopi Goldberg, she just can't control herself. But in America, oh, the black people suffer just as bad, if not worse, than the Iranian people. This even goes without saying. Nobody's saying that there isn't suffering everywhere. We're not saying that black people haven't suffered injustice in the past in the United States, that on some levels they might be suffering some injustice today, just like there's injustice everywhere. We got all that. But for Whoopi to be sitting there, the wealthy person that she is, hosting that show and how she lives, and the very fact that she can walk around the way she wants to walk around is how she's dressed, and she gets to go safely home. For her to say that, when we, just for an example, know what happens to Iranian women and what's happened to Persian women throughout the years in terms of acid attacks on their faces, in terms of the executions, in terms of the rapes, in terms of the tortures, what a disgusting thing for her to say, right?
Well, let me put it in perspective. The thesis of my book, The Multi-Front War, was that World War III is much different than World War I and II. World War I and II were fought over there. Remember, there was a famous song, Over There. World War III, to quote the Beatles, is here, there, and everywhere. So our foreign enemies, the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues, are operating within the U.S. and have taken over half of the U.S. through their agents. And their agents have a special name. They're called Democrats, because they're not really Democrats. They're representatives of the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues. And so our foreign enemies have penetrated our culture. And half of our states are run by Democrats with sanctuary cities, because they do not think the federal government has a right to be involved in their states. Well, there's another name for the Democrats, and besides the Reds, the Greens, the Blues, and that's the name that they used about 160 years ago. They're the Confederates. We're still fighting our Civil War. And then the Confederates have conveniently changed their name to Democrats so that we forget that they declared war on the North in 1861. And we're still fighting our Civil War between the Confederates, and the Confederates are now working for our foreign enemies, the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues. So whenever you see Whoopi or other people with alien beliefs on TV, those are beliefs put into them. They don't even know it, but put into them through their schooling, through media, from the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues, and they now represent our foreign enemies.
Thank you. Annie, in terms of, and our hearts go out to you, Annie, in terms of everything you suffered in your childhood in Iran, every way that you know how Iranian women suffer and Iranians suffer. Your thoughts on Whoopi's comment?
Um, let me try to do this professionally.
No bad words.
Whoopi,
No foul language.
I have been, trust me, I have passed my test in the last 7 days of being on air. Whoopi has a long history of showing how ungrateful she is for the blessings Lord has given her for just the fact of being born outside of tyrannical, murderous regimes like Iran. However, under the circumstances of when she said what she said, I would have no problem, absolutely no problem, paying personally for her ticket to move to Iran and experience life in Iran as a woman. and try to have a show and look the way she does, because sometimes it feels like some people will never understand or comprehend the level of evil, as Ken mentioned earlier, unless they are looking at it in the eye, or they are forced to live under it every day. I will continue praying for her and anybody like her. However, I think she does need to look in the mirror and get her hatred for America, for freedom, and for liberty under control before she makes any more insulting comments like that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Annie. In all my years of study of this, one thing that just crystallized for me is, you see, if they admit that there's any ideology or system that's our enemy, that's more evil, then we would have to admit that our way of life is good and worth protecting and defending and saving. But because they want to destroy our society, they can't accept the evil of our foreign adversaries. So that's the key. They can never admit really what the Iranian dictatorship and monstrous death cult, as Ken calls it, is.